Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, the Daily Yoga Podcast, with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Mara's birthday. Woo!
Hey, happy birthday, Mara.
Miss Mara, happy birthday. We're celebrating. You know what we're going to do?
Going somewhere today, going off.
Yeah, we're going to go to New Hampshire. Go for a drive more into the country. Yeah.
What's there?
Forests.
Okay.
Rivers, mountains, and people who don't want to be controlled by the government. It's like, you have like the Sunshine State, the Constitution State, the Show Me State, and then there's New Hampshire, live free or die. It's like, what? These guys are freaking serious. How are you, Kastuba? How's your ride back? We had a special day yesterday with Radhanath Swami at Super Soul Farm. That was very, very sweet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Incredibly sweet. I don't know how you're doing the show today because you guys, you Prabhus and Maharaj left so late last night.
I think you're speaking in half. You're giving people half. People they don't know what you're talking about.
They did. Okay. Radhanath Swami came over to the farm yesterday with Kastuba and Doyal. Mara made this incredible dinner.
Corn cake dessert was pretty far out, Mara.
I know. She just invented it. Did you invent that or did you read about that? Speak. Tell us what that dessert was.
It was a recipe.
Cornbread?
Yeah, it was like a corn cake. And then I did some coconut whipped cream with it and roasted some of our local peaches because we had.
Yeah, roasting the peaches brought out the flavor too. It was
roasted
good
peaches.
stuff.
It was good. She baked a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, we got in late.
Yeah.
We got to talking. That's what happens when you're with Maharaj.
He was just dreaming. He was just dreaming. He was like in a special dream prophecy mode. It was very exciting.
Made some plans for the future.
I know. I want to hear about your car ride home as well.
Well,
because we were still in dream mode. When Maharaj starts dreaming about things, I'm ready for the whole world to change.
That wasn't what we were doing on the way back. Personal stuff on the way back. We're in the personal stuff.
You can talk to me about personal stuff.
Okay, well, I'm happy to. But we're on a podcast that thousands of people listen to right now.
Well, can I talk about some personal stuff?
Okay. As long as it's not too personal.
Well, Friday, it's like my world is a little getting shaken up, and I feel like it's for the good, but it's still like shaken up. It's like, my son's moving to Florida.
Yeah.
It's like a huge thing. Like my 16-year-old son is going to end up going to school in Alachua. He's got all these, when you're 16, all that matters, at least for me, was friends.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're going on some school trip or something, it was all about your friends. You didn't care about that you were going to Colonial Williamsburg. You couldn't care less. You're just going to be on a bus with all your friends, and you're staying somewhere with all your friends. It's all friend related. So his like best friends are all these devotees. And I think in one sense, for his spiritual, it's a great thing. That's what you want. You want some nice kids as your best friends. And it's definitely a sacrifice. He's going to live with a nice devotee family, and I'm going to try to go down there a lot. But it's a little bit of, you're sending your kid off. He's almost like leaving.
Did it kind of happen quickly?
It sort of happened quick. It was sort of like a pipe dream. And then all those kids came up here for the summer, and the parents, and they're like, no, it can happen.
Oh, there was some thought of it in the past.
There was some thought of it, like, what's he doing here? He should be hanging out with all these devotee kids. Because up here, there's like, in his school, there's nobody. And then you just, I saw this thing on Instagram, which is where I see all my enlightening things nowadays. But it was this great thing about how more than what you're each teaching your kid, and I really believe this too, more than what you are even teaching your kids in your household is their environment. It's something we say every day. Their environment, their school, their teachers, their peer group, because they're with them all day long. And I was thinking, oh, I get it. This is exactly what's happening. And fortunately, he did those bus tours, which I want to give a big shout out to those bus tours in Alachua and Jai Shri Radhe.
You got to explain what that means briefly.
This is like a thing where kids who grew up devotees, who are now older, like in their 40s, they take young kids that are teenagers on like school buses, and they take them it's almost like summer camp. But they'll go to different Rath Yatras, and then they'll go camping, and then
People don't know Rath Yatra. They go to different Bhakti
I'm gonna
festivals.
start over. I'm gonna start really. They'll go to different Krishna Bhakti festivals. They'll go to state national forests. They'll go to waterfalls. They'll camp out. They'll stay at a temple.
Kirtan.
They'll do tons of kirtan the entire time. Do the whole, almost as if you're living in a temple. Like, I never taught my son all the morning program songs from the ISKCON temples. I never taught him that. Yeah. I mean, he knows a lot of songs because I sing a lot of songs. But you know me, I'm singing like Brij Basi songs, Hindi bhajans.
Unauthorized songs.
They're completely authorized by Krishna, sir. But
songs of questionable origin.
They might have questionable origin because it'll say anonymous author. But he learned all that. It was almost like living in an ashram every time he went. So I think he went a couple of years.
Then he went to ashram, but it's a fun ashram experience.
It's a fun ashram experience. A lot of Actually, he went there for 4. He did these like Krishna camps for like 4 years, I think.
So many people have benefited from that. Just shows, just accept people where they are, give them some fun, mix some bhakti into it, and people just grow. Just like,
it goes back to my postulate 72, which is make bhakti fun.
Okay.
Make bhakti fun. It's already fun. You just got to be a little bit more
just
fun.
Don't take the fun out of it.
That's what problem I think in bhakti. We try to extract the fun from it and like make it dead serious. You don't have to be dead serious. It is. You can be serious. You can be committed, but it's still the whole practice is fun. Krishna was fun. Krishna is fun. He's a fun little boy. So anyway, he's going away. My daughter is in California. I'm not sure if she's coming back. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Shifting
things are shifting landscapes.
All right, but you seem to be doing well, don't you?
Well, I feel like I'm getting a louder calling from Krishna. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
So anyway,
yeah, we should keep it moving a bit. Although everything you've said has been very interesting. It's interesting to peek into your life and see how it works and understand your feelings and how you live in the context of bhakti. Very interesting, actually.
Well, it's got a lot to do, getting everything you love pulled away from you. Yeah. This is also part of everything we say every day.
You see, a parent that might not have as much spiritual background as you, they might not. It's most likely that they wouldn't process it in the same way that you're processing it, right? Like it might be bittersweet for them, and it's bittersweet for you, but it's bittersweet for you in a way that it's like it's making you consider every attachment that you have in your heart, and it's making you kind of feel more profoundly these truths that have been spoken in these books about just how time takes everything away. That's
exactly it. That's exactly it. Because if I didn't have this, it would just be like, oh,
this sucks.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
My babies are now adults and they're leaving. What is life about? What am I
That
supposed to
death
do?
is coming, and
What am I supposed to do? Now I'm the same age. I remember when my father was 57. That was old. And it would just be a bunch of reflections and melancholy and sadness, and let's go in the basement and bust out a bunch of photos and stuff like that. And Bhakti's given me a different
lens.
path. It's encouraging me in another direction. It's saying, okay, buckle down. Everything we've read about, this is all real.
It's coming.
This is Maharaj Bart.
Yeah.
Everything is yes. We always say you own nothing. Here it goes.
You do. You actually don't own anything.
You don't own actually anything. You don't own actually. Well, you think, well, I own my kids. You don't own your kids. You don't own your house.
That's the thing. It seems like say you get involved in any like authentic wisdom tradition, right? And anything that's really getting in touch with truth. For us, we have a particular inclination towards this Bhakti tradition, towards books like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana. That's where our particular focus is at. We feel for good reason and so on, but we recognize that these truths are spoken in many different traditions. But is it something that we just wear like a t-shirt as part of our personality, like, hey, like I'm into that spiritual stuff and we talk about these things and so, but then what God does is he makes it very real, by shifting life circumstances so that like now that the truth of what you've always just kind of like from a distance just speculated about, or now it's actually becoming real in your life, and you have to reach for it and say, do I really believe that? Does my mind rebel against this, or do I embrace it? Do I embrace it and allow myself to feel a little bit of that, heartache, or feel a little bit of, feel a little bit of how the material world kind of just tears you, and open yourself up to it and say, yeah, go ahead, tear away. It's right. It's what I need to become completely free. It's what I need to become, completely selfless and capable of embracing love for God and love for every being.
We are getting sanded down.
Yeah.
We are getting pruned. We are getting refined.
Getting pruned.
Getting my yeah. Anyway, thanks for letting me share that. It's these are huge things. These are huge things. It was like I was saying the other day. It's like there is such a desire in our hearts for some type of lasting thing, some type of eternality in a temporary world, and it seems like it's eternal when you have a little baby. It's like, and some of you out there have a little child, and you're thinking, yeah, this little child is mine, and all of a sudden, I can't believe he's so big. And going to school. Oh my God, they're so big. They're 16. Oh my God, they're out. And that I thought I found my landing spot. I thought I found this was my little diorama of my family. There's the husband and the wife and the kids, and it all just starts to break apart. And if we don't look at it as just like a stop on the train, but we look at it as the landing spot for, this is the final train, everybody off, this is Bowling Green, everybody out, this is the end of the line. It's not the end of the line. Everything is constantly changing. Our eternality can't be based on a person, a place, or a thing. Our eternality is with Krishna. We want an eternal home, an eternal family, and it's happening, but it's that eternality is with Krishna. And that's sort of like what it leaves you with. And if you don't, you're just left to cry in the material world.
Yeah, sometimes, but for the Bhakti yoga, it's like you cry, but there's some happiness underneath it all too. It's like, okay, it's when it's for a purpose, when it's for an eternal purpose, you can accept it in a different way. When it's what you need, you can accept it in a different way.
Thank God for Krishna consciousness.
Oh, yeah, I tell you.
It seems interesting because it's not like you and me got into this because we're so deep and wise and we've studied meticulously world religions and we're like academics of theology. We just stumbled upon it in the hardcore scene. we're a bunch of hardcore guys. We met some swamis while walking around the Lower East Side. And it's given us so much, not just joy, but direction, saved us from so much hell. God.
Yeah.
We're two lucky ducks.
Yeah.
And you're a lucky duck too, Miss Mara.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, duck.
Okay.
All right.
Did we do announcements?
Miss Mara, and why don't you just share a little bit about how you feeling today on your birthday?
Blessed and grateful for everyone. I felt like, having Maharaj come up to the farm yesterday was just like, I couldn't ask for anything more than that. It's like, yeah, that was perfect.
And look, but all you did was serve. You just walked around cooking for everyone, serving.
It was great. It was so
You
sweet.
were happy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Announcements. We have BRG.
He even gave you a personal phone call.
I know. I couldn't believe it. He's so sweet.
Because when Radhaswami left, Mara had to leave for some reason, so she was away, and he wanted to say goodbye, so he just gave you a personal call.
Yeah. I went to go pick up Rocco and his little friend. Okay, announcements. We have Bhakti Recovery Group. The men meet at noon and the women meet at 2 p.m. Eastern time today.
Noon and 2.
Bhakti Recovery Group. We talked about that too yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Jiva G's on the radar, the spiritual radar. Getting on the guru's radar is a good thing. Good job, Jiva G. And all the BRGs, Nancy R, all the recovery people. It's important. Okay. Nugget time.
Are we okay? Yeah.
Down
I mean, in one sense,
that was a nugget. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before he started the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, loving to the service, the Supreme Lord will be
praised.
Will be praised with transcendental songs. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 24. Text 22. There we go.
Yeah, so we're hearing about Bali Maharaj now.
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj, who was, again, he was born into like a king, as you could say, like a planetary king, like a
universal king.
He was born like as a ruler of half the universe, and then he went and took over the other half, right? On behalf of like the ruffians, in a sense. I don't know if ruffians is the right word, but on behalf of the demons, those that were against Lord Vishnu, right?
I guess it's safe to call them ruffians.
Yeah, I mean, he was very cultured at the same time, though, so it was not ruffian like.
Well, I think people I think there's been a lot of cultured ruffians, even in I think Mussolini was probably pretty cultured.
What does ruffian mean exactly? Let's see. I mean,
I think a ruffian means like sort of a street thug.
Yeah, so he wasn't like that. That's my point.
He wasn't like that. They were like refined, cultured, troublemakers.
Ruffian is a violent criminal or troublemaker. So he was a ruler that just was at odds with those that wanted to align themselves with God, and so they had their own area, universal kind of area, and they battle with the devas on the other side, and he was so powerful that he won, right? And he put Indra in this. He had him on the run, But what the Bhagavatam is always doing, it's so interesting. Just think of the mind of Vyasadeva, right? Who compiled all these literatures, and he did want to provide. It's like, what it's kind of like, Raghunath?
What?
It's like he wrote a book that, you were just saying, like, well, why did it take all the fun out of Bhakti? Or it's like
make Bhakti fun again.
We in order to to just hold society together and get people moving forward, you got to lay down some rules. You got to lay down some rules, and you got to nudge people forward from wherever they're at to the next step. But whenever you do that, there's just every possibility that it gets misused and misunderstood and becomes rigid, and the heart of it, the essence of it becomes lost. And so what Vyasadeva does in this book is he's looking back at all of his other books and saying, people are missing the essence.
They need something more fun.
Yeah, well, more fun. Well, kind of fun like this. Like what he does is he's cherry picking all of these stories of the universe,
Right. Because these stories, you can read them in other Puranas.
But yeah, some of them, a lot of them.
So
yeah.
he takes a handful.
Yeah.
God's incarnations are unlimited. There's unlimited incarnations of God because God is unlimited. But you're right, he cherry picks these ones that really bring the jiva to an excitement about bhakti, about giving your life to divinity.
Excitement, and what he keeps doing is he's flipping it, like he's saying, "Hey, you've been reading these books, and you've got the idea that like what family you're born in is, has everything to do with who you are, because I talked a lot about the value of how a family invests values into the children and how that can build a strong, you've gone too far and thought that like birth is everything, but that's not the fact. I'm going to show you right now that a person born in the family that was totally against God was actually the deepest spiritual person there was, and as much more so than even Indra, who practiced karma so diligently, who was so dutiful, but he didn't have that full surrender. He still had maybe some selfishness inside, some level of selfishness. Whereas Bali, he was just born in that situation, but inside he had no selfishness at all. And just see what happens in that pastime with Bali is just Vishnu just puts him, just humiliates him, takes everything from him, just to show the quality of his character, and that he was, no matter what circumstance, he was just fully surrendered, and then he gives everything back to him, And so we can call these dharmic reversals, where it seems like the dharma gets flipped in the Bhagavatam. In today we're going to read about how that gets flipped, how the demon was actually the deeply spiritual one, right? And also just that reconfirmation that we find in Bhagavatam all the time, that beyond wanting the things of this world, which is taught in the four Vedas, beyond wanting liberation from the sufferings of this world, which is taught in the Upanishads, ultimately divine love is what it's all about. And so Vyasadeva is, again, cherry picking stories that are going to make that clear, and it gets clarified in the coming verses. Text 22.
That was a good lead up. Thank you. Text 22. The Supreme Personality of Godhead did not award his mercy to Bali Maharaj by giving him material opulence and material happiness and opulence. For these make one forget loving service to the Lord.
They tend to. Commonly they
people
do.
have this so backwards, don't they? God blessed me with all this stuff. Did he?
Did he? Did he just give you everything you need to forget all about him?
The result of material opulence is that one can no longer absorb his mind in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is a very common thing.
Yeah, it's not an absolute. That's not like an absolute principle, but it is a very common.
It's a very common thing.
Occurrence.
It's like you're living in an ivory tower, and you forget the pain that the world is actually a painful place.
Yeah.
So we create a bubble of temporary happiness where we forget.
That reminds me, of course, of the Bhagavad Gita. Bogaishvarya Prasaktanam.
Yeah,
remember that one?
That's a great
one you memorized back in the day, right?
Bogaishvarya Prasaktanam Taya Parita Chetasam Vivasyakmika Buddhir Samadho na vidhiyate. Those who want samadhi, they will not get samadhi. Samadho na vidhiyate. Those who are too attached to boga and aishvarya, to material enjoyment, boga, and like luxury.
Yeah,
opulence. The resolute determination for devotional service will not take place.
Right.
What a great verse.
And really, the word that he uses, samadho na vidhiyate. You won't enter into samadhi. You can't be a successful yogi when you're too caught up in these things. Right? Prabhupada writes a nice short little purport to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's not those who are too attached to material enjoyment and sense gratification. How does he do that translation again? It's so nice. And
in the
are
minds of
bewildered
those,
by such things.
in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things.
Yeah, that's the key line. You're too, not only are you attached to them, but you're bewildered by them. Like, yes.
Apahrita chetasam. Your mind is just confused by it all. What's a value? What is actually for my benefit? You get lost.
I know.
So those people, they can't get fixed. They can't fix their mind, and they can't achieve that controlled mind called samadhi. Prabhupada writes this. He says samadhi means fixed mind, right? Fixed, like held in one spot, not bouncing back and forth, not distracted. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukti, says.
Isn't that interesting? A Vedic dictionary.
He's reaching out to the Vedic dictionary, ancient Vedic.
The Vedas have everything. You want a dictionary? We got a dictionary for you. It's called the Nirukti.
So it says samyag adhiyate smin atma tattva yatatmayam. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be in samadhi. Samadhi is never possible, Prabhupada writes now, samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy.
I think this is you, man. I don't think you're bewildered by temporary.
I thought you were saying I'm totally bewildered. I think
no. I think this you're in
you're
samadhi.
The bewildered person.
I see myself as bewildered. Like, oh, look at that truck. I get bewildered by a truck. That truck. It's like I can't even play softball. I'm like, they're lobbing the slow pitches. I try this one on Raghunath's. You're standing strong in the major leagues.
You know what that reminds me of is. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this, Raghunath. This was a long time ago. It was like in the early 90s.
Yeah, tell me.
And Indradyumna Swami had a disciple. She was from some Eastern Bloc nation, I think. I forget exactly where she was from. She may have been Russian. I forget. But she went she died. She a beautiful young lady.
She died at a young age.
She was probably in her 20s, I think.
He wrote a book about her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have that book.
And it was about her as a young lady. Just she's very saintly, right? She just had a very saintly nature, and she was passing away in Vrindavan, spending her last days in Vrindavan, and it kind of became like one of those scenes that we've seen, like we've even seen with friends of ours when they're near passing away, where like the person that just seemed like the beginner or the newer person at this, they suddenly had the deepest realizations to share as they're approaching death at this young age, and the people that were the gurus were actually learning from the disciples. The teachers are learning from the students, because she had everything that was coming out of her mouth, like it had deep meaning,
right?
And I remember that I remember reading about that, and I remember her guru Indradyumna Swami saying, is there anything that you're holding on to? And she was saying, I don't think I'm qualified to go back to Krishna. I think I just have attachments. I'm still. And he was saying, well, what is it that you're attached to? And she said something like, well, like tomatoes. Like, like
don't take birth for a tomato.
I really
don't take birth again for it. Let it go.
But his point was,
I'm over tomatoes. I think I can. If tomatoes were like, okay, we're gonna have to get a tomato. I think I can get over this.
But my point is that's in what I believe.
I don't even know what that means.
And I think it was her just being so thorough that like really all the serious attachments she had let go of. And something that was unimportant. Yeah, of course you like the flavored tomatoes, but that's not going to hold you back. You're fine. I think that was kind of his message, was like, when we talk about attachment, we're not talking about something like that. We're talking about, the need for prestige, the need, these deeper
that would probably be the last fruit or vegetable that I mention when I talk about my attachments. We're taking away all your tomatoes.
Like tomatoes?
Huh?
You're Italian. You don't like tomatoes?
I like tomatoes, but if you said, you know what, you're gonna have to get bananas. You want God consciousness?
Oh man, I would get bananas.
No. God consciousness can wait. I need a banana smoothie. They're the base of all my smoothies.
Oh man, I give up bananas before tomatoes any day.
Really? Okay, I got to think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
She's okay. She might
Any
be a little
case,
like
it just so when you say like, oh, I've got these look at that truck, but you're not going to be dreaming about trucks when you're when you're on your deathbed. It's not going to be the certain
I get it. I get it.
yeah.
I get it. I get that.
So anyway, this is this. I don't get the trucks thing at all, man.
I know it's a
Keep
thing.
making them bigger and bigger. It's just like,
I know. I was never like this.
what happened?
I don't know. And then last time I went to Florida,
Association.
last time I went to Florida, it was Boga and Aishwarya. I was like, trucks! Everyone's got trucks here.
You became bewildered by such things.
I was bewildered. I was Mara was like, "What's up with you?" I was like, "Oh, did you see that lift on the truck?" Stupid.
Okay.
Anyway.
So Bali is saying, look, or it's being said about Bali that in one sense it looked like Vishnu took everything away from him, gave it all back to Indra. But in one sense, when Krishna takes it away, it's such a blessing, because when we get everything that we desire, we just forget about truth, just slips away with it. It's like we take the material enjoyment, we take the material opulence, and we give up. We pay for it in our ability to see truth. And so Bali Maharaj was the fortunate one in this one. Even though he seemed to be publicly humiliated, he seemed to be bereft of everything that he owned. He was actually the one that was that got the good end of the stick.
Kastuba.
Yeah.
This is the most confidential knowledge. This is the
It
guyam.
is.
This is the secret stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't make material sense. It makes material sense like God wants you to be abundant. No, he doesn't necessarily. that you want yourself to be abundant. God wants you to be God conscious. God is trying to.
You want God to want you to be abundant.
It's so amazing how people have turned abundance into a spiritual thing. Yeah, I know what abundance is. It's called like materialism. I want the things of this world, and I think they will make me happy. God wants you to be connected, reconnected. There's that puzzle piece that goes into the puzzle hole, the God-shaped hole in the heart. It's got nothing to do with the thing. It's got to do with love of God. And historically, there's been very wealthy people and very poor people who are connected. And there's been very wealthy people and very poor people who have been disconnected. God wants us connected. And a big lesson I had yesterday with Radhanath Swami, and it sort of has something to do with this as well, Kastub, is there have been tragic stories of people who've been born into tragedy, but their resting place is God consciousness. Like in the tragedy, they turn to God, and that becomes their resting place. And it's special. And we don't understand why there might be some tragedy, some loss, some devastating heartbreak, or some like full-on trauma. But if it brings you to God consciousness, we should understand there is some greater plan. So we have to keep whatever we got in the past. That's what we got, right?
It's so interesting. The Bhagavatam is taking us beyond religion, right? And in the Vedic context, religion has to do with good and bad karma, right? If I'm religious, and religious here, meaning, right? If I'm generous, if I'm kind to others, but I'm doing it because I want something back for it, right? It's kind of like a cosmic exchange kind of thing going on. That we would call that like a materialistic kind of religion, And I remember once a devotee shared something with me, and you know who it was? It was Mahatma Prabhu. This was years ago, like 30, 20, 25 years ago. He told me he just shared this,
Okay.
And he said, take someone that's born with a certain deformity, or like a certain. Sometimes people are born, with a face, maybe something different about it, that would be unattractive, or some kind of physical deformity or something like that. And the way that people from a Vedic point of view might look at it and say, oh, you see the bad karma that they have.
They would
Right,
actually say that. True. They would say
yeah,
like, any type of deformity they would say is bad karma.
okay, so that's a result of some action that they did in the past that wasn't good, you know. It could be even a less kind of analysis than that. Like it could be more judgmental and so on. But what he's
But there's a big but right here.
yeah,
coming
and
into.
well, what he said was, well, just think about it. Like, say a person was really trying to go deeper into their yoga, deeper into their spiritual life, but they're very attractive, very
Yeah,
handsome, very beautiful.
That's my problem. I think that's what's going on.
It just holds us back.
My beauty is my hurdle.
Okay, but it could be for some people, you know, it just opens up so many possibilities for getting sidetracked. You know, if you're born very beautiful, you know, if you know, people, you know, they're just, it's offering all kinds of opportunities to get lost in material enjoyment. And if that person were very sincere and they were struggling with that, they might just pray within their heart, just next time, I hope I'm not born like this again. It's just made it difficult for me. You know, it's
Well-
just it's making me forget God. It's made my path harder to walk. And then that person,
Right.
they might be, it's not a result of bad karma or anything wrong. It's actually a result of their deepest sincerity, that they were born in a way where that wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be enough for the next very short, quick little lifetime that they have to go through.
Yeah.
You know, they're born in such a way where they're not going to be attractive to anyone. You know, and it's going to make them free. You know,
I got a real life story for you.
all right.
Exactly about that. And I can't say the name, although I think I did tell the story once on Super Soul Sacred Sangha, but let's not mention names if I did.
When you're a
it was
kid,
a time Shelter was on tour,
okay.
and we were on tour with a band who at that time was pretty much the same size of us, but maybe a little bit bigger. They had a hit song. And then
Okay.
the singer of the band was, you know, sort of like a card carrying hunk. He was like a hunk, good looking guy.
Okay. I think
Very
I know that band
good-looking,
kind of came
hunky
and went like real quick, but they're like,
yeah, sort of
they're
they came
really
really but he was a
big.
hunky guy. And you know, Shelter was like, we were just coming out of being brahmacharis. Maybe Parmananda was still a brahmachari at the time. And but the other band, we were sort of friends with them. They were friendly with them. And they knew we were devotees, and they knew we had certain values and practices and stuff like that. But we, you know, tried to find some commonality and hang with them. And this guy was such a hunk that like women threw themselves at him, like fans threw themselves at him. And I remember him like confiding in me privately. He's like, I can't stop having sex. Yeah. I can't stop. I was like, I don't feel good afterwards. And every time I do, I was like, this is horrible. I can't do this, but I can't stop doing it too. And you see them struggling so much. Just the guy like literally seemed like he was in a sincere way
tortured,
struggling with existence because of good fortune,
because of his good karma, because of
there's good karma. There's a hunk. People just like, I don't have that. I don't have that. I'll admit it. I was famous, but still, I never had women throw themselves at me. I never had that, and it was a blessing. I didn't want it to be a blessing, but it was a blessing. I would have liked a little bit of it, but it didn't work. It never worked out for me like that. But that was a blessing for me. That was a.
When he was telling you this, were you like, "Are you kidding me, guy?"
It was sort of like a little bit like, you know, I was a devotee, so it's sort of like, devotee, yes. So sorry, but part of me was like, ooh. I was sort of admiring it, but at the same time understanding, like, yeah, this is our philosophy. I know it won't satisfy me, but
yeah.
There's a little bit of that.
Maybe you're thinking it's good for me to hear him say this. What did you say to him?
What did I say to him? I gave him some devotee comfort. I was like, yeah, it's like a bait. It's like a baited trap. And you have to like, I said exactly what the 15th chapter says. You just got to cut it. You just got to draw a line in the sand. I can't do this. It's got to be my sense. It's understand, but what do they write? Ragu got stuck with the dudes that look like me fawning all it. AJ Sullivan says Ragu got stuck with dudes like me fawning over him. It's true. I had a bunch of big guys fawning over me. Ray Capo, sign my arm. Anyway,
Okay, so Bogashvarya Prasaktanam.
That's what it is. Boga and Aishvarya, real
The material
distractions in the material
enjoyment.
world.
And material opulences. They distract us. Okay, so Bali Maharaj was fortunate that everything got taken, even though he seemed to be the one that got the short end of the stick. No, dharmic reversal. He was the one that was being blessed. Okay.
I was blessed with people like AJ Sullivan phoning all over me. Thank you, AJ. You saved me. When 23, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead could see no other means of taking everything away from Bali Maharaj, right? Because he took 2 steps and he took everything.
Yeah.
And he was owed a 3rd step.
He was owed a 3rd step.
He adopted the trick of begging from him and took away all 3 worlds. It was a good trick. Thus, only his body was left. But the Lord was not satisfied. He arrested Bali Maharaj.
Whatever we own is so tiny.
Puny, isn't it?
But what he owned was practically the entire universe. He had conquered it all, you know?
It's pretty interesting, huh?
And Vishnu took it all away.
You know, when you live upstate, there are these people, like you can't even see their house. It's just a mailbox and a long winding driveway, and they own a side of a mountain. It's like new types of wealth, like, you know, wealth we can't even imagine. They own so much, and that's nothing.
That's puny.
You know, you go to Texas and these guys own these ranches, hundreds of acres of ranches, and it's nothing. This guy owned planets.
And then Krishna took it. He took it all.
He took it all.
How's he going to respond? How's he going to respond? Yeah.
Nevertheless, although all his property was taken, and he was thrown into a cave.
Hold it. You missed one sentence. He arrested Bali.
Okay, so Vishnu, thus
only his body was left. He had nothing left but his body. But the Lord was still not satisfied. I'm going to take more.
Bound with the ropes of Varuna and threw him in a cave at a mountain.
He treated him like he was a criminal. It was unfair.
Nevertheless, although all his property was taken and he was thrown into a cave, Bali Maharaj was such a great devotee that he spoke as follows.
Okay, now we're going to hear the dharmic reversal through the mouth of Bali. Here's this person. How's he going to respond? He's going to complain. Hey, this isn't fair. Hey, we made a deal. You only asked for 3 steps, and you pretended like it was like a small thing, you know. And I had my guru right here tell me not to give, and I was still ready to give everything. And you took everything I had.
I was trying to be kind. I was trying to be charitable.
And I would have happily given everything I had. And now you're saying I'm a criminal. But
you're trying to be all sneaky about it.
But he had such a zoomed out perspective. It was so zoomed out.
Yeah.
Right? That he just saw, okay, if God takes everything from me, I'm the most fortunate. Right?
He's born in a problematic family.
Problematic.
Born about a problematic family.
Although that family had one great devotee that was his inspiration, right? Prahlad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was that, you know, it was that gave him the strength to face this with such detachment, to pass the test with such flying colors, you know.
Yep.
Okay, let's hear what he says.
Alas, how pitiable it is for Indra, the king of heaven, that although he is very learned and powerful, and although he chose Brihaspati as his prime minister to instruct him, he is completely ignorant concerning spiritual advancement.
Okay, now from externally, it looks like Indra won, Bali lost, right? Indra said, "Dear Lord Vishnu, look at my situation here. The demon, the guy that's against you, has taken over everything. Can't you help me? I'm on your side. Can't you give me everything back?" And then Vishnu does exactly that. Vishnu goes and he tricks Bali, takes it all back, gives it all back to Indra. Seems like Indra won that one. Mm-hmm. But Bali's saying, no, I'm the fortunate one. Poor Indra. Not even like, I don't read this as if he's mocking him in any way. He's just saying he's really unfortunate, Indra, because he missed the whole point. Even he's got this great guru, Brihaspati, who's super incredibly intelligent. They didn't know what to ask the Lord for. They asked him for the material things. All he took from me was the material things, but he gave me everything spiritual.
Side note, William Penn was given 45,000 square miles of land by the King of England. which became Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That's what it was like back in America. These governors.
I'll give you 45,000 square miles. I just need you to support me.
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you just start it again?
Alas, how pitiable it is for Indra, the king of heaven, that although he is very learned and powerful, and although he chose Brihaspati as his prime minister to instruct him, he's completely ignorant concerning spiritual advancement. Brihaspati is also unintelligent because he did not properly instruct his disciple Indra. Lord Vamanadev was standing at Indra's door, but King Indra, instead of begging him for an opportunity to render transcendental loving service, Bhakti, engaged him in asking me for alms to gain the three worlds for his sense gratification. Sovereignty over the three worlds is very insignificant because
that's zoomed out. That's a zoomed out viewpoint.
Sovereignty over the three worlds is very insignificant because whatever material opulence one may possess lasts only for an age of Manu. So that's much longer.
Only an age of Manu.
It's just an age of Manu.
Oh, you know what? I think I got that. Oh yeah, you know how long an age of Manu is?
Well, according to this which is but a tiny fraction of endless time.
That's his zoomed out view.
Yeah. Age of Manu is like
age of
forever.
Manu is 306,720,000 years.
But it is actually it's a blink of an eye.
From the perspective of eternity.
Right.
So he actually means this, like he's actually saying that poor Indra, he missed the whole point. He had Lord Vishnu right there. He's got apparently a guru that's supposed to be able to guide him well. And when Lord Vishnu was there, what did he ask for? He asked for material things based on his religiosity. I'm on your side. Give me my kingdom back. And it looks like Bali is the one that's again got the short end of the stick. But Bali got pure love for God, and he got glorified as a great devotee. It means more to him than anything. Now, text 25 is where Bali's going to point out this point that, again, cherry-picked, that bhakti is the real thing, that these earlier texts that teach about karma or jnana, teach about trying to enjoy this world through piety or trying to free oneself from material suffering through detachment. Although these are important stepping stones, but if they don't lead you to the higher thing, then they have no value. If they don't lead you to bhakti, if they don't lead you to pure love, then what's the point? So here he says in text 25.
Bali Maharaj said, this is a person, right? He's getting some deep realization right now.
Yeah.
Persons like us who are still attached to material enjoyment. I'm up. Sorry. Bali Maharaj said, my grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj. Imagine if Prahlad was your grandfather. Ooh.
Yeah.
How cool would that be? My grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj, is the only person who understood his own self-interest. Upon the death of Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu, imagine if Hiranyakashipu was your great-grandfather.
Yeah, so I got a good one. I got a bad one.
Lord
Real good, real
Shringadev
bad.
wanted to offer Prahlad his father's kingdom and even wanted to grant him liberation from material bondage. But Prahlad accepted neither. Liberation and material opulence, he thought, are obstacles to bhakti. And therefore, such gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not his actual mercy. Ooh, abundance mentality. Take that. God wants you to be abundant. I'm so sick of that. Consequently, instead of accepting the results of karma and jnana, Prahlad Maharaj simply begged the Lord for engagement in the service of his servant.
Okay. That's the message of the Bhagavatam, right?
It can be very confusing because, Stu, you go to India and all this stuff is tied in with other Vedic teachings, and that's where it's confusing. That's where the Bhakti Vedantins come in, and they extract bhakti from all these Vedic teachings. That's why you can wear gems, or you can get some yagyas or pujas or chant some mantras to make your karma better. Because the material world is painful, we can switch that for you. We have metaphysical technology, rituals, prayers, mantras, fire yagas, etc. Gems, whatever it is,
Gems,
to change your karma. Krishna says, you got what you got. You get what you get, and don't be upset.
But focus on the main thing.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to get out of this. Loving bhakti.
Right.
You're not right. You're sailing in your boat, Kastuba. You're sailing on the lake and the wind's blowing south. Don't try to change the wind. Try to set a better sail. Just try to set the sail appropriately. I know you wanted the wind to come from the north. It's coming from the south. That's what you got. The world spends its time trying to change the wind.
Yeah.
We just got to set a better sail.
Yeah. Whether it's our enjoyment or suffering, we accept it and we focus on bhakti. You know, I like the way you express it, that the Bhakti Vedantas, right? These great teachers of Vedanta, the Ramanujas, the Madhvas, you know, right. All the Chaitanya, Vallabha, you know, like they, if you go to the Upanishads, say, or go to the Vedas, it takes some skill for them to say, you see, bhakti's here. You see, you didn't notice it before, but let me pull out a verse and let me explain it to you so that you get it. Bhakti was sewn into these all along, but it's easy to miss it. But when you get to Bhagavatam, you can't miss it. This is the book where he wanted to make it clear. He's making it clear again and again and again, you know. So he's using the dharmic reversals, and he's always again and again, chapter after chapter, it winds up with this message about how bhakti is superior. It's the destination. The others are stepping stones towards it. Karma and jnana. It's not that they have no value. They are valuable until you transcend them, and then you don't need them, you know. But bhakti, that's what we're designed for. That's what we're made of. That's our eternal perfection. It's what we're meant to rediscover.
And it gets confusing especially in the yoga world or the India world, because you know, you see some swami, some renunciate, they usually talk some wisdom, and they're wise. When you give up the world, you become wise, but they don't necessarily give you bhakti.
Right.
They give you some little bits of wisdom that can be applied to your life and stuff like that. And we like that. We can appreciate that. Just like when you read Journey Home, Maharaj meets a lot of interesting people. They're all interesting, but he falls in love with bhakti and understands exactly what we're talking about. There's nothing of the material world that will satisfy my heart deeply.
There you go.
Boom, ba-ba. Boom, ba-ba. Right. Birthday girl.
Mara.
Give me some takeaways, birthday girl.
I got some good stuff.
I think tomorrow you're going to both have your microphone, right? Oh, no, you're going to be in New Hampshire somewhere?
Yeah.
What are we going to do? We're going to do the show?
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't know if we're going to be here to get the mail today.
Right.
Because we're staying in New Hampshire.
Okay, maybe the next day.
Yeah. Okay. Make bhakti fun. You don't have to be dead serious.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't own your kids or anything else.
I've tried to. Doesn't work. They escape.
They do what they want to do in the end.
God shifts life circumstances to make the Bhagavatam come to life.
Oh.
Ooh. Ow. Yeah.
One second. Our eternality is with Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
No matter the circumstances or family you're born into, you can still surrender.
You get what you get. And don't be upset.
Divine love is what it's all about.
What's it all about?
We almost made it through a whole show without any songs.
Yeah, I know. That was
that was close.
Yeah, I know.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not
bad. Pretty good, actually.
When all our material desires are fulfilled, truth can slip away.
Yeah.
Sometimes fulfilling all your desires makes you realize I don't want those desires. I want something deeper. So, no, I'm going to reject that one.
Poor Indra missed the whole point.
Poor Indra.
What's going on here, Mara?
Sorry, I'm trying to do up
Slipping
the
on
song
your birthday.
too. I know. You can't change the wind, set a better sail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
don't take birth again for a tomato.
That was a good one. Don't take birth for a tomato.
What was her name? Vrinda
You know what? Brudja something. It's great souls, huh?
Brajalila. Was it Brajalila?
I think it might have been Brajalila, perhaps. Someone might know. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for everybody for joining us. Happy birthday, Mara. Hi, Neela. Well, we're going to wish Mara a happy birthday. And we'll see you tomorrow live from New Hampshire. And thanks everybody for joining us on Zoom today. Kasuba, thanks. I know you're tired. You got to bed late. Still showed up.
Good. I feel good now.
Feeling
I'm going to go to
good,
bed.
right?
Still,
You know
I
what?
feel good.
I was tired too. I stayed up. I was a little wired, but you know what? There's this accountability. We need accountability in our life, for our spiritual life, because we tend to be a little weak, a little lazy. Get some good friends. We're going to hold you to some standard. That's what all the Zoom crew is here for me for. Thank you. I want to thank all the others out there. I want to thank people who contribute every month to our Patreon program. It's just the way we fly. Is how we keep this boat floating. Thank you very much. Like what we're doing, community supported podcast, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. And remember to like, follow, share, give the gift of wisdom of the sages by just sharing it with somebody. It's that simple. If we post some like spiritual content, share it. Isn't that easy? You could just share it. You could repost it on your stories. And that's how this message gets around. Thanks, everybody. Now I must dance